Hey everyone, welcome to Garden Fork Radio. You're here with Rick and Eric.
Good morning, Eric. How are you, my friend?
I have a cold.
Oh no.
Yeah. So you might hear a little sniffling here, everybody.
A Thanksgiving cold.
Happens.
Yeah. How'd your Thanksgiving go?
It's good. Yeah, we have a number of things to talk about. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving. We're going to talk about a couple of podcasts we like, and we have some viewer mail from Rick on the left coast, kind of taking us to task.
Well, a little bit.
So.
No.
So we are we're the perfect guests for Thanksgiving because we don't have any children.
Okay.
And we always get invited to several. Oh, come to our, So I called my friends who are having a 20-person Thanksgiving.
Oh my.
And we weren't going to stay for the whole thing, but our plans changed. So I called her. I said, we're able to come for dinner. What time should we come? I'm thinking I'm going to time it so I'm going to get there 5 minutes before the turkey's on the table so I can just sit down and eat, Because
right.
I'm not good at the chit-chat,
Oh, you or me either.
In a large group, I just shrink. So I'm talking to my friend on the phone, and she said, could you come at 4:30 and cook the turkeys? But I'm like, and I can't really say no. So I get there, and they want to deep fry a turkey, and they want to Weber grill a turkey.
Oh, wow.
And
they must listen to the podcast.
So they, and she had researched all this, and so they it's called spatchcocking the turkey or butterflying the turkey. They cut out the backbone.
Yes.
And she's going to lay it flat. And she's, okay, well, we can deep fry the turkey and the Weber grilled turkey, and we'll eat it at the same time. I'm like, that Weber grilled turkey is going to take 3 times as long as this deep fried turkey. And they're already running late in the dinner. And she's like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay, so I get the deep fried one going, and we're doing an indirect heat with the Weber grill.
Right.
I've got all the coals banked on one side. I've got a drip pan on the other side of the charcoal grill, the grate. Mm-hmm. And then I put the turkey on with the turkey mainly over the splatter pan, drip pan, and the legs pointed toward the coals.
Okay.
And I dumped like 20 new coals on that thing. And my friend, the husband who was with me doing this, he kept on opening the Weber grill, and I'm like, every time you do that, it's another 10 minutes.
That's right. You're letting all that heat out.
But he was happy, so I was like, okay. So I deep fried the turkey.
Well, now, wait a minute. How'd the Weber grilled turkey turn out?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a story.
I'm interrupting your story. So back to the deep fried turkey.
So I pull a deep fried turkey out, and it's a little overdone, but the beauty of deep fried turkey is it's very forgiving that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring it up to the house. It's a cabin, and I'm like, we should have dinner right now. And she's like, oh no, we're gonna wait for the Weber grilled turkey. I'm like, the Weber grilled turkey is an hour away. And she's thinking that this turkey that I have, which I think is probably like a 14-pounder, won't feed 20 people. And I'm like, you'd be surprised how little turkey people actually eat, as opposed to all the other stuff that's on the table,
Right.
And sure enough, I slice this thing up, and it has huge. It's a hybrid turkey, so it has these huge breasts as opposed to the rest of the body. And I cut the breast off whole. I just basically go along the breastbone and then along the rib cage with a knife, and I separate the whole piece of breast meat.
Right.
And I jointed the wings and the legs. And boy, it really hurts when you don't have a sharp knife to do this too.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I got that on the table, and I just let the Weber grilled turkey cook. And then she went out after dinner and pulled the Weber grilled turkey in. And it had a nice kind of smoky flavor, but I thought the deep fried turkey was much, much better.
Well, to be fair to the Weber grilled turkey, you really weren't using the right method. I mean, as far as how to do it.
I've never Weber grilled a turkey before. So.
Yeah. Well, but, right there on your website, there's a way to do it.
I know.
Yeah. But it does take time. I have been known to do the turkey the day before, and then even go so far as to tint it with put a tint over it with aluminum foil as it cools.
Uh-huh.
And it just pulls all that moisture right back out into the meat. And then we'll refrigerate it, and the next day I slice it and we reheat it, and it's better or just as good as the turkey right off the grill.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy. Cold turkey's easier to slice. It's just all kinds of things like that. It's easier to debone the turkey that way.
So
And
how would you Weber grill the turkey the right way?
okay, the right way to do it is you start off with 30 coals in the center of the grill, and you get them going, and then you divide them half on either side, about 15 coals on either side. Put the drip tray in the middle, and then put the turkey on top. Put the lid on it, and then every hour go out and add 8 coals to each side, and of course put a thermometer in your turkey. And when it gets to the right temperature, it's done. But normally this takes 3 to 4 hours.
Yep.
To do, but it's very slow roasting, and it gives the turkey that nice golden brown skin on it, and it really works. And you get it out of the kitchen, but you need time. Obviously, deep frying a turkey, if you're short of time, that's a great way to do it.
It works really well, and the meat was delicious. The skin tasted like bacon.
Yeah, I tastes like bacon. I can't get past the pictures every year of people that burn their houses down or their garages down or set the dog on fire or something, doing deep frying turkeys using improper technique.
Right. Yep. There is the knucklehead factor there.
Yeah, I call it Jackass America. It's just alarming, and we had one here in my neighborhood. Just actually, the day before Thanksgiving, he was trying to do a production line of turkeys, and it just got away from him, and it actually burned his little shed down because it was raining, and he was under the eaves of the shed, and it burned his shed down.
Wow. Yeah, we were out in the driveway.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't able to reference your Weber Grill post because I was in the Berkshires in Massachusetts in the mountains. So
oh wow,
there was no internet.
But anyway, it worked out terrific, and so you had a good Thanksgiving then.
Yeah, then I was exhausted, and I was like, I just worked the whole time.
Well, I always, I'm not good in crowds. I'm pretty good one-on-one. I like intense conversations, but I don't like small talk. Which is the reason I am always thrilled to have a job. And so I don't mind cooking the turkey. I don't mind cooking the rice. One reason I love photography is it gives me a job. I have a camera in my hand. I have something to do. And I don't have to make small talk.
Well, actually, I was reading on, I think it was on Lifehacker. Oh, here goes my voice now. I like Lifehacker. It's part of a bigger website. They do have some interesting. They find some interesting deals on electronics and household items and stuff. But they also have some kind of obvious how-to and how to make your life better stuff. But one post they had was like how to engage someone you don't know at a party in conversation, and you ask them. The key is to ask them questions about themselves and what they did this week, or what. If they're talking about work, what kind of challenges do you have at work right now? I mean, that sounds kind of like a knucklehead sentence, but you can craft it like, wow, what's on the agenda at work right now, and
yeah, but the tough part for me is pretending like I care.
Oh, I actually do care. So
oh, well, see, I don't.
There's a weird thing in New York where people who don't know each other, almost the first thing always they talk about is real estate.
Oh, really?
And that kind of determines where you live and how much money you make. And then everyone kind of gets a feel for, oh, he's a banker, oh, he's a lawyer, oh, that guy, well, we don't know what Eric really does.
Yeah.
But his wife is really nice.
Around here, because it's so heavily Navy, it's always what community you with. So are you a surface warfare, are you a submariner, are you a SEAL, you an aviator, that kind of thing. So that's usually how we get started on those.
Well, there you go. A little social cue tip from Eric. Ask the person about themselves and not real estate. Hey, I asked everyone about what kind of podcast they're listening to, and we got an answer.
Okay. We see, let me see, who sent this? Parker.
No, Steve sent it.
Oh, Steve. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm assuming Steve because he listed his name first, and then his family's name.
Yeah, the entire family. Yeah, from Banff, Canada.
Yay!
Yeah, it says tiny house. I didn't know there was a tiny house chat.
Yeah. Excuse me. Hold on.
Okay.
We don't have a mute button here. Hey, Eric. An insightful podcast I like listening to is Tiny House Chat. I'll probably never own my own tiny house, but my wife and I love the idea and the inspiration behind these funky abodes. This podcast is very descriptive and informative on all aspects of building and living in a tiny house. Give it a listen. Love your shows. We eagerly await what you'll teach us next. And that's Steve, Jen, Quinzen, and Parker in Banff, Canada.
You know, we meant to talk about it a few weeks ago, and we forgot. There is an independent movie that's now on Netflix, or you can buy it on Amazon, called Tiny, and it's about the tiny house movement.
Yeah, and you told me to watch it, and I forgot.
Yeah, and it has our friend, what's his name?
Oh, the guy from Boston.
We bought his book. We talked to him.
Yes, Deke Dietrichson.
Yeah, Deke Dietrichson has him in it, and kind of explores the tiny house movement all across the country, and really interesting and fun to watch.
Yeah, I actually was just watching some YouTube videos last night about the tiny house. You know, people that build houses on trailers, and it's kind of neat that a lot of these clearly they're not architects. They just kind of have an idea, and they probably think about it for a year or two, and then they build it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and even if it's just a little cabin that you take out to a field, or a clearing in a forest or something, as a temporary, or as a weekend place, you could do a lot of interesting things with it.
Totally, yeah. If you're thinking you want like a little house in the woods kind of thing, you could you could start with this, and then you could rent a piece of land or buy a piece of land and go from there. Our town actually up here in Connecticut has some rules about trailers, mobile home trailers, and how far they have to be from the road. So you might want to check into that.
Yeah, which is the reason most tiny houses are on wheels to begin with, on trailers, is to get around the square foot requirement that most cities and communities have about the size of houses.
There you go.
Yeah.
I found a podcast through Pinterest of all places. I'm trying to post more Garden Fork material on Pinterest because it's kind of a neat way to discover new viewers. And there was a cool rocket stove built out of a 5-gallon bucket.
I have seen that.
And rocket stoves are in our future, everybody, or at least the Garden Fork's future. And it was posted by a fellow named Eric, E-R-I-K, and he and his wife, Kelly, have a website called Root Simple, ROOTSIMPLE.com, rootsimple.com. Low-tech home tech is what they call it. And another word they use a lot to describe themselves on the website is DIY living, which I really like because I've been trying to figure out how to describe Garden Fork better. And I always call it urban homesteading and gardening and cooking, and I'm like, and DIY, but I'm like, well, it's not just urban homesteading, it's also country homesteading,
Right.
It's apartment homesteading.
Right.
So
you're going to steal it, right? DIY
I already emailed them
living.
and said I really like that phrase. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna use it. But it ends up they have a podcast, and I really like it. If you go to iTunes, it's Root Simple. Just search for ROOT, like tree root, and Simple, SIMPLE. And it's just the two of them talking sometimes with each other, like Rick and I do. I think they're married. They live together, at least. And they have guests on a lot. And they had a really good one with a canning expert. They live in Los Angeles, and they're kind of tapped into the Los Angeles, I wouldn't call it the food scene. I'd call it more simple living, kind of back to basics movement there. And there's a lot of classes out there, and they took a canning class with this fella, and they talked to him for an hour, and he was full of really good information, especially about pressure canning, which I have never done.
I haven't either.
I don't know if I really need to do it, but it was interesting to learn a lot of stuff. And what's neat is that they ask questions of their viewers on their Facebook page, and then they read the questions from the Facebook page to the pressure cooking expert guy. And maybe we should try that.
Oh, that's an idea. Yeah, we I haven't done pressure canning yet. We do a lot of freezing of leftover vegetables from the garden, that kind of thing. But I haven't tried any pressure canning yet.
You can also freeze canning jars if they are if they have the straight jar sides rather than the jars with the shoulders, evidently.
Right.
I'm looking into that right now.
Oh,
so
okay.
Don't anyone send me mail yet, because I'm not sure the particulars on it. Because we got some mail this week.
Yeah, we did. Somebody took us to task on eggs, of all things.
But in a very nice way.
Yeah, very nice way. This is Rick on the left coast.
Which is where the Root Simple people are.
Yeah. Hi, Rick and Eric. If you read the egg study carefully, which probably we didn't.
No.
I think that researchers are saying that eggs are less bad than other choices, not that they're good for you. Comparing eggs to sugared cereal is not a terribly high standard to beat. Well, I agree with that. Some of Rick's worm compost would likely beat sugar-laden cereal. Love the show, Rick on the left coast.
Boom!
Yeah, been slapped down. You know, I went back and read that, and he's right. That phrase is in the very last sentence, but he was just comparing it to what most people normally eat. And so I did a little extra research on that, and we were talking about a Times article in the Well section, which asked, well, how many eggs can I eat? And one of the podcasts I listen to is Quick and Dirty Tips.
Oh, yes.
And there's the nutrition diva, and her name is Monica Reingill, and she's a certified licensed dietitian, nutritionist, has a master's, and I like her a lot because she's very middle of the road. She doesn't get carried off into one side or the other, and one thing she's taught me about food particularly is, you know, generally when you take away with one hand, it gives back with the other. You know, there's always a balancing act of some sort to go on. And she thinks that eggs it's turning out are not that bad. And that, you know, the American Heart Association, which is the one that actually started the anti-egg campaign many decades ago, has dropped eggs from their bad list. And that she eats about 12 eggs a week. So, you know, I'm not saying, you know, in that there are other side effects. You know, you're also, if you don't eat eggs, you're only getting half the protein, and you're missing the vitamin A, D, and E, and so you know, that's the other side that you're missing from that. And so there's some balance, but they're having trouble getting egg cholesterol to actually show up as cholesterol in your veins. Which is, you know, so it's always correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation.
That's kind of like almonds. Almonds have a very high fat content.
Right.
But when you eat them, your body does not absorb all the fat from the almond nut. It passes a lot of it through you.
Right.
So it might be similar with eggs. Well,
they're still working on it. You know, science is moving so fast now that it's difficult to stay on top of everything. But in the end, you know, Aristotle kind of had it right. There is the Aristotelian doctrine of the mean that he presented in Nicomachean Ethics, and it's what we all know: moderation in all things.
That was deep.
Oh well.
I was like, where's he going with this?
Yeah, well, but we all know that. You know, it's just kind of temper everything, and I think we're finding that more and more with diet issues, particularly. We went so far on the non-fat side that we really weren't looking at what they were putting in the non-fat dairy products to make them palatable, give them good mouthfeel, make them satiating. And it turns out they were loading them with sugar and and all kinds of things that were fooling with our blood sugar. And that if you compare now what they're doing to real fat, we might be better off. And many studies are showing this. Eating real fat yogurt and maybe real fat butter and drinking a little bit of real fat milk. But the whole secret is a little bit of, not a whole bunch of it.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's always a balancing act. And we are not nutrition experts. She who must be obeyed, and I have adopted the Mediterranean diet, particularly in the spring and summer and into the fall, just because we have so much fresh fruit, fresh vegetables that we're growing ourselves. And then we run down to the store and we eat a lot of salmon, good quality olive oil. And just a little bit of, and it's hard to find now. Everything is non-fat, but you can find real fat yogurt, just untreated or unprocessed. And I'm thinking about beginning to make my own yogurt, just to have a cup every now and then. But it's amazing how a little bit of fat will actually satiate you. At least it is working for me. I'm down 25 pounds now.
Yay.
Kind of eating on the Mediterranean diet and paying close attention to amounts, but also just avoiding all the non-fat stuff as well. So it works for me.
There are several videos on how to make yogurt, which we will link to in our show notes here.
Okay.
By the way, talking about sugar, Kelly and Eric on the Root Simple podcast talk about that Kelly went sugar-free for a period of time. I don't remember. I don't know. It was a couple of weeks. And they talk about that on their podcast. Everyone out there, I'm wondering if you use any fitness monitors, like the Fitbit and things like that, because I would be interested in that. I have a friend who has used one of them, and it keeps breaking, and they keep sending new iterations of the fitness monitor. And I'd be very interested in using one, but I'd like one that isn't going to break. So,
do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
Go and download Moves, Moves.
It's an app? Moves.
It's an app. It's free. I have been using it myself. It's is been fairly accurate. It uses the accelerometer in your phone to watch how much you're walking. And then if you're walking a lot or you're biking or whatever, it knows to do that. It kind of tracks you. And a lot of people get spooked by this. It tracks you. And now Moves is owned by, I think it's Facebook. And so when you go there, you'll see all these negative complaints about it. But it's just because Facebook bought Moves. And so they think you're feeding information to Facebook, which you may or may not be doing. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But it works pretty well. And it will tell you how many steps a day you've taken, how many miles that is, and also convert it into calories for you.
Interesting.
And it's free.
All right. You know what I did do when I upgraded to a new cellular plan with a different carrier?
Mm-hmm.
I had an iPhone 4S, which was going to be worthless to me, because it's the cellular part was turned off, and I thought, I could just sell this on eBay or something. I decided to keep it. And I turn it on, I have it on airplane mode all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that for a lot of the apps because I think there's less of an ability for those apps and things to track me then. The data, like the cellular data and like my phone contacts are not on that phone. So it's my Instagram and Twitter phone, actually.
Oh, well, I had no idea. So you're carrying around two phones now.
Right, but it's a device that I think, maybe I'm fooling myself here, I'm being tracked a little less.
No, so you're kind of carrying it around like more like an iPod than a phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's been working. I'm very happy. It's also really nice because when your iPhone dies because the battery, and you need to take a picture of your dog, you have your spare phone to take pictures of your dog. So there you go. Wow, this was kind of like a podcast where we had our act together.
Yeah, like we actually know what we're talking about.
Well, I was really inspired. I've been, much like when I discover anything, I kind of inhale it, and I've been listening to a lot of the Root Simple podcasts, and They haven't been doing it very long at all, but it's very professionally recorded and nice intro music. And what I've been trying to do, and they do, in the beginning of the show, they talk about what they're going to talk about in the show. So there you go. So, and I actually have been emailing with Eric, the guy who is producing the podcast. So it's kind of, we're learning from each other about some tips and hints and stuff. So neat.
Right. Wow. Wonderful.
All right. The Moves app.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Tiny Movie with Deke. We're going to check out. And the Quick and Dirty Tips podcast.
And the Nutrition Diva.
Yes. Let me write that down. And then Tiny House Chat.
Right.
That's
so you're making a show note list.
Well, I'm just going through it here. I type it as we go. I don't know if you can hear the typing.
I cannot.
When you do a Google Hangout and they can sense you're typing in your keyboard, they silence your microphone.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And that little thing pops up and says, "It looks like you're typing. We're going to turn off your microphone." Because the Hangout, everyone's microphones are on.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we could try that. I guess we could try a Google Hangout. Would people be into that? Let me know. radio@gardenfork.tv. That's our new email address that allows me to find actual viewer mail.
Yeah. I think I have the perfect face for radio. So, but if you want to do a Hangout, we can.
The key thing is we're doing a Hangout and any kind of video Skype call is to pay attention to what's behind you when you're sitting down with your laptop or your. I've done calls with people and I'm looking at their laundry or their open closet while there's junk spilling out.
Right. One of the problems I have, I think I sent you a picture once of my my cart
yes.
that I work on. Is I'm in a rolling chair and I have a rolling cart, and I'm sitting in front of a window looking out. And as we're talking, I'm constantly kind of shifting it left, shifting the cart right. Over the day, if I'm here all day working on a project, I have to inch back up to the window several times because I keep pulling back toward the back wall. And then, as I get up, sit down, move, and or if I want coffee, I'll move the entire thing over. So it's got to be very disorienting for somebody if they were watching it.
Well, you could sit still for 10 minutes.
Maybe. Well, today is dog bath day, so Zeke and Sydney are sad to hear it, and they're going to be sad for this podcast to end, but I must get on down the road, my friend.
All right, thanks for your time, sir, and thanks for everyone for listening. Again, it's radio@gardenfork.tv to reach out to us. And if you have some podcasts, we will list more of them. So let us know. All right?
Okay. Talk to you later, my friend.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Garden Fork's theme music is used under license from uniquetracks.com.